No, the team was great. I mean, a net positive.
You're pressing everybody. Who wants to do a game recap? Well, we won't do a game wrap, but let's recap the season. How would you describe this season and the ups and downs that you went through?
Wild ride. It really was. That's, I've heard that description, and that's kind of how I felt about it. I mean, it was such a good start, and then you had three distinct periods in the second half, a 1-12 followed by an 18-7, so you're now back up to 78-53, your high water mark, right? 25 games over, and then the 9-22 finish. Very hard to, I've been, thinking about it a lot, what happened, but then the thing that just impressed me, the way when they had to, they were road warriors. They won big games on the road. They didn't collapse after the collapse. I mean, it could have ended in Cleveland in the wild card, but they didn't let it. And it just showed the fight in this team. I just felt like they were maybe a little bit short on the pitching side. AJ did a masterful job using those guys in the postseason. And then obviously the hitting kind of faded at the end, but there were a lot of improvements on the hitting side this year, and there's something to build on, I'm telling you that.
I find it interesting that in Scott Harris's press conference the other day, he says, we got to figure out how we were so good offensively for so many months and so bad in the end.
Yeah.
How do you resolve that?
Well, I mean, in the end, through the one thing I would say is it was 16 games at the end where the offense struggled. The first 8 games of September, they actually scored 57 runs. And I do think a part of that is they were facing a Cleveland team that wasn't giving up any runs at that point to anybody. And a Seattle team in the postseason, they'd gone 17-1 in September because they had really good pitching. So 14 of the 24 games that we're looking at, they were facing some of the best pitching in the league. Arguably the 2 best staffs in the American League. So I'm not sure there's a ton to fix. Yeah, they talk about, okay, the thing that I like about Scott Harris and the way he runs this organization and AJ Hinch, they send these guys into the postseason, the off season, or as AJ describes it, the part of the season where there's no games, with a little kind of to-do list to get better. And they did that last winter. And there were improvements. Go right down the list of guys 26 years old or younger, from Colt Keith to Riley Green, to Spencer Torkelson, to Wenzel Perez, to Dylan Dingler, who all got better, significantly better at the plate this year because of the work they put in last offseason. That's the kind of thing that I think will serve them well next year. This was a better offense, and it can be even better next year.
Help me out with AJ, because I know you're a fan of his, and yet he frustrates so many people. That's the nature of the beast in managers. And what do you
think the biggest frustration is, though?
The way he handles the pitching staff, the analytics that's organization-wide. I'm not speaking for myself as much as I'm speaking for people get frustrated with him. Defend him for me.
But I don't think he needs defending. He's the best manager in the game. He is thinking 6 and 7 layers deep and 4 and 5 innings ahead of anybody else who's watching the game. And he's putting his guys. He didn't, let's face it, he did not have as deep a bullpen at the back end as he did a year ago.
Right.
He put those guys in positions to succeed and got that game to 15 innings at the end, but throughout the postseason, because he knows how to use his guys and put them into those spots, the pockets that he's always looking for this guy. Okay, he's got a weakness, but this pocket, he can get out. And he did it again and again and again. There's nobody better at it. There is nobody better. There's always going to be frustration. But make sure that you first guess before you second guess, and then see how right you are.
Do you expect a lot of changes? Do you think a lot of changes are needed?
In what way? Just
players.
I think they will add. I think, it's a legitimate, a veteran right-handed bat. Gleyber Torres added a lot to this offense this year. He wasn't as productive down the stretch because of a sports hernia. That's hard to play through. I don't know how he did play through. But that is the kind of veteran bat that helped this team. You're going to see Clark and McGonigal here at some point next year, but rookies often struggle. So I think a veteran right-handed bat. I think Riley Green's going to get better. And you look at the strikeouts, and that's a legitimate, and he knows it. But Kerry Carpenter, I think, can get better. He had a low walk rate until the postseason. You have to be able to take your walks to stay hot. Tigers talk about that all the time. So major changes, No, I do think it's important to understand. I mean, job one, make sure Tarek Skubal is still a Tiger in 2026. But building that rotation. Casey Mize had quietly a very good year. Jack Flaherty struggled. I mean, it was up and down, kind of wildly up and down based on what we saw in 2024. But to me, it's all on the pitching side and building that bullpen. Because if you give A.J. Hinch a talented, deep bullpen, this team, to me, that's what takes them to 95 wins and above.
You see Major League Ball every day. I see more minor league ball, and I saw McGonigal, and he hit the cover off everything that was pitched to him. I know it's a different level.
Yeah.
But could he be the shortstop next season?
Well, Javi's still on this roster for 2 more years, and he really, I mean, performed in the postseason. I know he had a tough second half at the plate, but man, his defense was good all year. I think McGonigal's probably the replacement for Glaber at second base. That's how I would look at it. I have no idea how they look at it, but that it sounds like that's. I mean, again, just because Javi's still here, and he still plays. I mean, you saw that play in Boston. He still makes plays that nobody else makes, and his tag ability, which doesn't get talked about a lot, we talk about it a lot, is second to none. But I mean, he's still really valuable there.
I got it right. Thanks, man.